this book surprised me like so much. Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we'll be discussing this amazing book called Tschick by Wolfgang Herrndorf. It's a German book, but you can actually find a translation to English, I think. So everyone here can read it. And originally, I was not planning on making a separate review for this book, but it was just so wise and smart that I just had to do it. So here we go, Tschick. Let's get into it. But firstly, you're probably a bit confused because you don't probably have a clue what this book is about. So let's make a quick wrap up. This book is about two 14-year-old boys. They're both from families that don't really care about them that much. And, it happens to be summer holidays and they feel a bit abandoned by their families during the summer holidays. Their parents ride away on some business trips or some other trips and leave them alone at home. And it feels kind of bad because everyone else is having fun. Everyone else is on vacation, but these two boys are stuck in Berlin and they decide to take their fate in their own hands. And that's how they end up stealing an old car and making a road trip through the post-Soviet Eastern Germany. Guys, honestly, this book was amazing. Like literally. For the record, this was my first German book. I have never read a book in German before this one, so it was sometimes a bit harder for me to understand everything because German is my third language and it's actually not that easy to understand yet. So I might have missed some things in the book and it was, as I said earlier, harder to read. But even with my knowledge of German, it was actually a great read. And I think the best thing about this book was that the story actually felt real. And it actually felt like it could have happened. Like it was not some... Like when you hear me say that two 14-year-old boys went on a road trip through Germany, you might be thinking like, what the heck? But it really was written so well that I actually felt like it was real, We're just talking like a real story here. Now the characters were written so nicely. They behaved like, you would expect 14-year-olds to behave. And even the insights that we got into their thinking processes and, how they were coping with this sudden change in their lives. It was all incredibly well written and incredibly realistically written. Also, this book was extremely funny. Like, I was a bit mad that actually I could not understand all the jokes because it was in German and I don't have, as I said earlier, that extensive vocab in German, but I did understand some Google Translate explained or ChatGPT explained, and I gotta say, it's like if you understand German or you have the English translation, it's hilarious book. And lastly, as I said in the beginning, it's also extremely wise, and here is why. I have like two main thoughts that I found in this book and that I found insanely intriguing, and I just wanted to discuss them because they're great. So the first one is a thought that I think is insanely important in today's world and today's setting. And it's just, the world is not that bad, And it was one of the thoughts that was happening in the end. And I don't want to spoil the book a lot, but they were driving through the whole Germany and they have met several people and they needed help from several people. And all of these people were insanely helpful, selfless, and they just wanted these two boys to drive safely and, and then they just wanted to help them. And I think it's in such a great contrast between the world that I think most of the people around us, or at least around me, is painting, you know? That the world is bad, that the world is terrifying, and that if you aren't careful, it can easily hurt you, you know? And eventually, it, does some damage here. But the point is that the people in our world aren't that bad as the media, society, and even our parents are saying, at least in my opinion. I have also like my personal story because once we were on a trip in the nature and we ran out of water. Like it was in some mountains. Those were not really mountains, it was like hills, but it was nature. And we really needed water. And so we were like, there's no source of water, there's no spring here. So we gotta just seek it somewhere else. And so we walked to the nearest village and rang on the ring of the nearest house. And there was this old lady. She was very nice, and we were like kind of a big group. It was like 8 of us. So it was kind of awkward that all of us was, begging her for water. But she was like, oh my god, the same thing happened to me when I was hiking in another mountains. Guys, come on in, get your water. And at that moment, I really understood what this thought means, And I really understood how important it is to actually help one another. Because in these basic situations, it just means the world. And the second thought, you're not boring, you dummy. Also, one of the characters just really thinks he's so boring. But it's just until he finds the other one. And until they get on the road trip. And I think that really shows us how comparison works and how it can sometimes mislead our perception of ourselves or the people around us, because I think that we often forget that every single one of us is special. Like really, like me, you, your sister, your neighbor, the dog you have. We are all special. And sometimes people don't see how we're special, or they don't think that our specialness, is that a word, is really special and is really fun. But I think what we should remember is that not everyone sees that. And each of us just has to find the people that will actually see it and that will actually appreciate us being special. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons that this book gives you. Guys, I hope you liked this video. If you watched this far, comment this emoji and you can watch this video that you can see on your screen. Otherwise, I'll see you next Monday. Bye!